Hello. Hello, hello. And you guys were coming on in the house today. And I don't know if you heard us talking while we were trying to wait for coming on. We were kind of running our mouths before I turned the mic off. But anyway,
everybody's coming on that night.
Sandra's early bird. Sandra's hungry tonight. And Pat came in as second runner up. And then here comes Laverne and Vincent Kelly in California. Hey, Vincent. And Sissy and brother-in-law and Pat. I'm glad you're here. Diana, I'm glad you're here with us, sweetheart.
Good to have you with us. Joe,
brother Joe. And James D. Hey, James D.
Deb Rondo.
Hey, Deb. And Judy Jew. Hey, Judy Jew.
Miss Linda.
And hey, Linda.
Morgan J.
Linda, what's that little voice there? He said, listen, Linda.
Linda, Morgan J. Judy
hey, Morgan.
Hill.
She said she can't hear us.
She can't.
She said she couldn't hear us. Let me see. What am I doing here? Let me make sure. She can't hear us? Oh, can anybody else hear us? Please let us know.
Let us know how you're coming out there with the hearing.
My mics are on and everything seems to be set. So please let me know if you cannot hear you. She said, Morgan said she hears her. So Judy, that's on your side. Let's see.
Everybody saying okay.
Judy, everyone else can hear us.
Linda can hear.
So I'll let Judy know. Yeah. Let her know that. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Now she said she can hear us. She said, I can hear you on Facebook, but not on YouTube. Well, I'm glad you got on Facebook then, sweetheart. I don't know what they're doing. Who knows about those social media platforms? But anyway, we're here and we're live and in color.
Every time you see us, we see you.
Are you going to ring your bell tonight?
Oh, I forgot about
Not so loud now.
Okay.
Not so loud.
Okay.
A little louder than that.
Is that good enough? I bet Brother Jay know what key that was in. But then we got to get together and play some more guitar, man.
Hey, Sinette from Denmark, darling. Okay. Well, yeah, Vern says she can hear us on YouTube. So, good. Thank you, Vern. Thank you.
Listen.
You already got something you want to start with?
With or without the virus, the shots, the boosters, everybody in the universe, with or without the approval of the Council Board of Religion or spirituality, every one of us are eternal essence, eternal beings.
Yes.
That is settled.
Yes, sir.
What we need to work on is how we become more aware of that essence expressing itself, or do we have to do anything extra to make this expression amplified or functional?
Can I read something?
Go right ahead.
All right. And this is coming from a book. I'll let you guys know. It is from this book, Beyond Awakening by Jeff Foster.
Mm-hmm.
It's also called in a subtitle, The End of the Spiritual Search. Okay, so I'm going to read this particular, it's a really, really short chapter, so I'm going to read it, and I think it's going to bear witness to what you just said. Here it is. And so after years of seeking in a billion different ways, we are only ever left with the present moment, which is this moment. Not the idea, the present moment, but literally this, the present appearance of all, beyond all words and concepts. The beating of the heart, breathing in and out, the roar of traffic outside, the feeling of this book in your hands, thoughts arising, dissolving, and arising again, No matter what we've been through, no matter what we've discovered, no matter what we've realized,
Mm-hmm.
it's always here and it's always now. And the individual, that is you, who went through all that stuff, who discovered and realized and did 1,000 different things in the name of finding himself, was only ever a thought, a story, a belief. Right now, you are quite literally a fiction. That is not to deny the fiction. The fiction arises as it always has. Let it be. Perhaps liberation, or I should say freedom, if anything, is the seeing through of this fiction. That is the recognition by no one of the fiction as a fiction. And yet, even that is saying too much. Even that little string of words sets liberation up as something to get, something to achieve. The mind loves that story. And it says, if I could just see the fiction as a fiction, I would be in liberation. And the search for liberation goes on, and the mind has saved itself once again. Liberation is not something that an individual can get, like he can get a nice suntan or a bigger bank balance or a shiny new sports car. It's not something a person can achieve, like he can achieve a high score in an IQ test. It's not something that can be reached through effort or persistence or luck or anything else. Liberation or freedom is not about words and concepts. However, we have to use words, and therefore we inevitably fall into the trap of seeing freedom and liberation as a goal, as something to look forward to in the future. But the message of this book is that liberation or freedom, if anything, is the seeing through of this very seeking. Liberation, if anything, is the seeing through of the search for liberation, of the search for something more meaningful than what is already the case, of the search for something other than this present appearance. But don't we spend our lives searching for something other than this? And so, liberation, if it is anything, is the seeing through of the entire human drama of everything, quite literally everything that makes up our lives. For the character, Jeff, and his name is Jeff Foster, he
Mm-hmm.
calls himself a character. The character, Jeff, everything has changed and nothing has changed at all. Perhaps the only difference is that these days, Jeff is simply recognized as a character, a story floating about in awareness. He has no deeper reality than that. Liberation is utterly simple, utterly obvious. The search is already over, and what we were always seeking is nothing more than this present appearance. Just this, right here, right now. There is nothing more. There never was.
Mm. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret that I've picked up. When I first started out 50 years ago, I began to investigate into the healing miracle ministry of different men
Hmm.
that I felt when I started out that was real honest men. I thought that everybody that was in the healing ministry had proficient integrity and was real honest until I found out what they were really doing. So I consulted as many as I could. I traveled, spent thousands of dollars, books and study, and traveling up and down the highway. I took some of my buddies with me. We traveled, and I got in the meeting to find out what did they do in order to put their hands on people for their legs to grow out, eyes, miracles of healing. And I didn't know during that time that there were gimmicks behind it.
Yeah.
I thought everybody that did that was straight, so I
That
went
they
at
were
the straight
honest.
way,
Yeah, you
honest.
thought they were honest. Yeah.
Well, I
So
found
now, not everybody's a shyster. Not
not
everybody
everybody,
is
but I
a
found out
yeah.
the pros and cons to the whole thing.
Yes.
But I did run across something that I wanted uh, to know about this, and I'm running across an older guy. He's not on Earth now. His name was Mr. Max Granfield, long time
I
ago.
remember that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Max talked to me about some things about switches that you hit on the inside, and I studied about also the whoever it was, the man that discovered the sewing machine and
Yeah.
the needle that go in the sewing machine.
Yeah. How we discovered that.
And he said this guy came across it this way. Said he went into a state of in between
Yeah.
state,
A hypnagogic
a
state.
hypnagogic state. I looked that word up, and it means that state you get into when you get real sleepy,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of like you're dozing off,
Mm-hmm.
and you get real groggy, sleepy,
Not quite asleep,
not
not
quite
quite
asleep.
awake.
And some of the guys that I studied, they would hold certain things in their hand just
Mm-hmm.
before they would bring up a subject. And it's like you ride along the highway and everybody is talking and you get sleepy and you nod, you drop your head. And some of the guys found out how to catch themselves in between the left brain, right brain, or that middle hemisphere.
Mm-hmm.
So what I started doing, I started going in the closet because I was doing that when I was 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, and you've always done that.
Always done that because
Mhm.
in my thinking, when they said go in your closet, I did
You
did
took it
it.
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But I didn't know that when I got in there and sat there for a long time, 2 or 3 hours, I would get real sleepy. I found out how to use sleep as a channel
Mm-hmm.
to put myself into a certain state of mind,
Yeah,
like a hypnagogic hypnosis state.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, when I would start ministering to people, I found out how to put myself into that state between the left brain, right brain, and then I'm cutting a whole lot of corners there. I found out how to put myself over into that place where there was a part of all of us that is 24/7 connected in the present moment with the spirit world,
Mm.
with
Mm-hmm.
God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this is
Yeah,
truth.
and we mentioned this before. Jill Bolte
Mhm.
Taylor has a book of My Stroke of Insight. Who she was a neurosurgeon, I think,
Neurosurgeon, yeah.
and
She
had a
had a stroke
stroke. And we've mentioned it
on the
before,
left
but
brain, left side.
she had a stroke, and when she did, she learned because of her experience with the stroke that God resides in every man and is in touch with every man through their subconscious mind.
So I called this guy that had a book out about it. And he said to me, he said, what do you do when you standing up in the rostrum in the church and you get ready to pray for people? I said, well, first thing I do, I said, I felt impressed to point out certain people in the audience. He said, well, what do you do then? I said, well, I'll go out there and I'll just stand there and I just feel impressed to tell somebody I want to pray for them. He said, what do you do then? And he kept on talking to me and schooling me through the steps that I was taking. And I didn't realize that what I was doing was hitting a switch on the inside. And that switch was me putting myself deliberately over into the right brain. And that part of me, now watch this, and that part of all of us that is forever eternally hooked up to God, the spirit world.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm saying this to you to say this. When you come down to waking up to your true identity, these are some of the semantics that you would eventually get into. But some people will tell you you don't have to do this, you have to do that. But I'm telling you what I found out in union and oneness.
Mm-hmm.
This will begin to become apparent to all of you. When I looked at these people on America Got Talent, all these talent
All
shows,
the talent shows, yeah.
I look at them. After practice of this, I can tell just as good when they get ready to sing. Some of them be saying they were afraid, they'd be shaking. The conscious mind or the left brain is fearful. But when they stand up there long enough and the music start, it puts them over into the right brain in between sleep and awake. They hit a switch inside, and the minute they open their mouth, something else comes out.
Mhm. Mhm.
Once you get used to this, you will learn how to hit what is called the bypass system. The bypass system is you finding out that there's a part of you that is much more wiser than the left side of you. Now, a lot of you are
Then the logical
than
side,
the logical side.
reasoning side, yes.
Now, this side of you that is much wiser than the logical side is the knowing without studying.
Mhm.
What the world system did to us when we went to school and when we got in the world is train us how to shut down the genius inside of us. Now, some people, logical side, in my research, say you take people in the medical field. My wife is good at it, and people who work office managers, they can remember everything in the store, the prices, and all the jobs. My case was that I went to the right brain,
Mhm.
and my left brain was shut down because of the trauma that took place.
Yeah.
Most of the people that operate the way she does, I studied. Put it like this: I studied all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to find out how do these people do these things.
Well, and one of the reasons you wanted to do that is because you realized that you were not a left brainer.
Right.
You didn't know what
I had to find out what my temperament was.
What that term meant.
Mm-hmm.
But you knew you did not process the way other people
That's
process.
Right. I had to learn
and so from living from your right brain, or is more on a subconscious level, it's more imagery than language. It's not language, it's imagery. And so you learn to use that to do the same thing that people in their logical brains could do. Now, Renee remembered in that My Stroke of Insight, that the doctor that we're talking about, she experienced the expansion while her logical side of her brain was offline. That's what she experienced. Yes. Thank you for putting that, Renee. I've forgotten that. Yes, that's true.
So now when I see people in the stores at the service station and they're training, I know now what makes, well, then I studied the savant people.
Yes. You studied that. You studied
neuro-linguistic programming. I looked at that because I wanted to find out what made one person a genius versus a person or somebody else that wasn't.
And you found out that we're all geniuses, but there are blocks that are there.
Yeah, some people know how to assess it more.
Yes.
Now, if you're going to walk this pathless path, you're going to have to be willing to assess that part of you that is now the genius God identity without any interference of all the other stuff that you learned and was conditioned for.
One of the things I noticed in the talent shows that we're talking about, where the contestants are performing, that they're often told, you did okay, but you were thinking too much. We could tell you were thinking. And so it's the logical mind thinking about, how am I going to do this? Can I do this? Is this going to come out right? All that blocks the creative process.
Vincent Kelly said it.
I'm sure Vincent knows about it. Playing music sometimes will hit the switch for me. I have to center though, or it won't happen. So when you say center, I'm sure you mean you have to get out of your head. Because when you're in your head, you can't do it.
You have to be willing to find out whether you can trust this right brain. And insecurity of the left brain, some people are more prone to reasoning.
And believe it or not, there's some of us who are actually whole-brained.
Yeah,
because we use our logical mind, but we also we use our imagery as well. So it's learning to be whole-brained is really a whole process.
Yeah, I also studied
a whole training.
John David, as a guy named John David Institute. I studied sound frequencies. When I put the headphones on, it had sound frequencies that are pushed the awareness back and forth from left brain, right
and
brain.
that's exactly what it is.
And I saw and I
It's
felt that back and forth and
it's
back
being
and
able
forth.
to shift your awareness.
Yeah. And so what happened was when it says in the Bible, it says we sit on the right hand. Jesus sat on the right hand of God. I mean, he was more in the right side of the creativeness
in the creative aspect.
aspect. So when I learned this, I found out how
there are only two modes of God,
mhm,
and I've said this before: the creative aspect, the creative side of God, and then the resting side of God. So when God's creating or when God's resting.
So now we enter into rest in the middle path. I'm doing it now as I talk to you. I use it all the time. Everybody uses it to a degree. When you're driving your car, you are assessing your energy field all around that car. You are expanding your awareness. When people have near-death experience, I will say this: there are some of us who are caught up with the idea of everything in this world being a story, that you take the fun out of
making the story.
It's the story that you lose sight of, that kind of robs you of being able to expand yourself into this.
Exactly. And that's why I liked what Jeff Foster said in that book, that Jeff, he discovered that Jeff was the character he played, that was being played every day. So he didn't take Jeff real serious. He didn't take Jeff real serious. He just allowed Jeff to play.
Now, when I'm playing my guitar, I just picked up here lately as I begin to mess with it. I mess with it and mess with it. Every other space on there, I can close my eyes and catch a pattern. Every other space. I may not be playing along with the music, but I feel what I feel on every other space that I want to. And each time I do that, I catch on to something more about what the other guys play.
And what you're actually doing is not so much learning to play as you are learning how to access your intuitive side.
That's the intuitive side.
And so that's what Vince is talking about. You can't think about it. You have to get out of your head and get in touch with your intuitive side. Now some people are really spiritually obsessed, and so they live there and they need more grounding. So I mean, it's two sides of the same.
Now you can get so caught up in that left and right brain, well, you can be no earthly good to the point where you completely detached from anybody, and I've seen people in church when I used to be around these guys, people that could really see in the spirit world and get over into these areas. There are people
who had what we call giftings.
They are. Listen to this. People that we found out that was real gifted, some could hit the switch real hard. Some hit it medium, some hit it in between. The one that hit it real hard, they could hit that switch and go to the right side of the altar in their right brain and check out. I mean,
completely check out.
I mean, they would check completely out and not be in this world at all. Near-death experiences really do that. And you do that every night. And it's not a devil, it's not evil, it's not in or of God. It's just something we all do once or twice. We do it all the time, during the daytime. When you hit that switch, you go to bed, you go to sleep, or does sleep come to you? But at any rate, you check out. When you hit that right brain or that right side of the switch, you go to sleep, or does sleep come to you?
Well, I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. I think I did. That there was one night I have this tendency, this character of Antoinette has a tendency to worry about whether or not it's going to go to sleep so that it'll be refreshed on the next day. And so this particular night, I remember saying, I don't care if I don't go to sleep. I lay there in the bed, and the minute I said I don't care and really didn't care, I went to sleep.
Now
the effort was gone. And so that's what happens. We put ourselves in a state of trying to do and trying to be and miss the actual ease of it all.
I remember when I first started, when I moved here in the house we are now, I got to making toys. And when I make toys, I make them out of wood where they can function like real metal. I take wood and I want it to work. So what I do, I used to stay up over in the morning, all night just about, working on one part of a wheel or a track for a bulldozer. I want that track to look and work just like the metal ones out on the real D-line caterpillars.
Yeah, yeah.
When I go to sleep at night, I incubate that.
Yes, you do.
And when
And
I'm working
actually,
on
you
trains,
incubated it for longer than that.
yeah,
I've seen you look at books for months
yeah,
and
over and
look
over.
at videos for months
Yeah,
of that particular thing that you're interested in making, and until you actually embodied it.
embodied it. I've
Mhm.
become what they call conceive, impregnated the
Mhm. You
imagination
impregnated yourself with it.
myself
Yes.
from the right brain
Mhm.
to the left until I actually became the action machine. And I didn't know when I was a little
and
boy, I
and
did that.
that is the creative process.
Yeah, that's
That has
creative.
to be an incubation period. I do it all the time with here in
Hmm.
the house with
Hmm.
different things. I love home decorate. I love
Hmm.
home interior design. I love that. So what I do is I'll incubate something on it. I'll incubate it for months,
Hmm.
and I'll look at pictures of it. I'll get magazines. I'll find whatever I can to keep that in front of me, and I look. And even when I lay in bed, I envision what it will look like because I'm incubating it. I embody it, and then when I get ready to do it, I know it's going to
We
turn how
used
it's
to
going to
have
turn out.
we used to have classes where I taught them how to do this and activation, and I'd have two lines, they facing each other, and then I would have them to turn around, turn their back, and I would tell them, tell me with your eyes closed, what do you see in front of you
Or what you're
if you're
experiencing.
experiencing?
Mm-hmm.
And they would do this, and some of them based on the limit of how well they were at hitting the switch to put themselves over.
Or how in touch they were with their intuition.
Yeah. Now then I found out in doing this was the secret to how the priest in the Old Testament would get to the veil and translate himself over from one side of that curtain, which had no opening, to the Holy of Holies. He had to be able to hit the switch of relocating his identity from left brain to right brain to get from one point A to point B.
Shifting his awareness.
But the ability to do this was built already into
Now, I
him.
have to mention what Linda says. She says, there have been times when I've driven my car miles without any memory of being aware of driving.
That's
I
right.
have to ask myself, who drove the car?
Now, some people want to do that and say, Jesus drive the car. Hey, I saw a lady come out of the grocery store. She had 4 or 5 bottles of wine.
Yeah, and she dropped them.
And she dropped and broke every last one. She said, Jesus, take the wheel.
And then she said, shake it off, shake
it off. Well, Jesus done dropped the wine, and she dropped the wine in her left brain and tried to put it over in the right brain, and Jesus dropped it. Well, either way.
I've done that too, Linda, and sometimes I've done that when I was lost in thought.
Mm-hmm.
When I was lost in thought, and there was something that was still driving the car. So there was a part of me was still aware of how to drive that car.
When I'm in the grocery store and somebody's standing beside me, I can tell just by practice for so many years. Let me back up and say it like this. I could sit under a tent and could look at them guys and could tell where they were coming from when they got ready to call somebody out in the audience to do their thing. I knew from behind stage what they were doing when they come out. I could tell whether it was real or whether it was not. And I studied memory courses.
Yes, you did.
And they told me that if you can work this memory course, they would remember people's name from behind stage and come out there and work. And the Lord showed me, he said, you do not have to pull gimmicks. He said, I can show you exactly what is going on without being false or gimmicky.
Exactly. Now, Vincent says he remembers the courses that we used to give. He says, I strongly believe that's what kept me locked in. Oh, that's good, Vincent.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Good.
He also said, I also know that the ordination has kept me mentally connected as well.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Now,
I know why we're going in this creative process.
The reason why we're going in this creative process is because we're talking about a part of us that is eternal, that is never, ever disconnected itself from God. In Jeremiah 1:5 said, before you were formed, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. There is a part of every one of us that every one of us are eternally connected and can never be disconnected from our eternal essence and will never be disconnected from God, regardless of what state our left brain is in, whether it come rain or shine. You are eternal essence, always connected. From a child up to now, when we come forth through the womb to this dimension is designed to move us away from our infinite eternal self and cause us to believe in being mortal.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to read this particular scripture. I don't know why it's standing out to me, but I started to read it on Sunday, but I really feel like I need to read it tonight. And it's in Hebrews 8 and 10. And it says, well, this is the covenant. This is the Lord supposedly talking to Israel. This is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind. This is very important. God put his laws in our mind and write them in their hearts. And I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. And this is the part I want to emphasize. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord. For all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. There is a time coming when we won't have to have teachers to help people know God or mature spiritually. They will automatically know. So we're all set up with the laws written in our hearts and in our minds. God is in our minds. That's what Jill Bolte Taylor discovered. God is in our minds.
Now, take a deep breath and rest. Enter into that rest. You don't have to go through the religious juggernaut.
Yes, that's true.
To find out what we are talking about.
Hopefully you won't go through
If
that.
I had known what we know now, I probably would have cut some things off that we went through with the brick and mortar. But I went through that because there was a lot of people that I run across that I was supposed to touch and was supposed to touch me in this area. Now that I've gone through it.
There was something that the lady that you had me watching last night and partly this morning, the near-death experience, the lady, I can't remember her name, but she made mention of something about how it was revealed to her in her near-death experience that she had lived tens of thousands of lifetimes.
Yeah, they told her on the other side that she had lived at least tens of
thousands of lifetimes. Yes. Yeah. I think around 14,000 lifetimes or something like that. Anyway, she said that was revealed to her.
Jeff Myra's show, something like that.
But she said as that was revealed to her, it was also revealed to her that each lifetime was lived, that many lifetimes were lived because we must come to the place where we are absolutely unconditionally loving. And so until we reach that level of maturity where we are absolutely unconditionally loving and walking in forgiveness, that is when we don't have to reincarnate. And it can't be that I try to be loving so I don't reincarnate. I have to actually be there.
Yeah, that's right. We knew in our intuition we call it, we knew in our telepathic identity that we had to take on another face coming into this dimension.
Yeah.
We had to take on another face. But we also knew that in order for us to come here and to walk and get back home, that there were certain speed bumps, certain, let's say it like this. There were designed in our script certain hurdles that we had to go through. And here's the key. Eternal forgiveness, no judgment, and eternal love. We are made out of that in our true, pure identity.
And we must come to that realization.
We must come to the full awareness of our eternal love, no judgment, eternal forgiveness. That's the key to the whole thing right there. Everybody, when this thing is over, will return to those three
We're all,
beingness.
who was that said, I think it was Judith Baldwin, where rest in peace,
Mhm.
who told us everybody's going to get home.
Everybody's gonna get home.
Everybody's going to get home. Linda says, I've always felt I was here to be creative, also to laugh and play, and mostly laugh. And you're right. And we do a lot of that, don't
Yeah,
we?
we do. We do.
We laugh a lot. I mean, laugh at ourselves more than
Mhm.
anything.
But it's so wonderful to know what is so amazing about this. Um, let me say this. Let me say this. I got so many things I want to say, and it ain't. I can't find the words to say it. What has stirred me to keep? I know I'm not being able to sleep at night here lately.
This is true.
I go to bed, and as soon as I hit the bed, I want to get up. I am so interested in finding out more or experiencing more of this eternal self right here, right here,
Yeah.
right here. That it just I don't know. It just
it almost it really steals your sleep away.
It does.
From you, doesn't
It most important thing right now is that, oh God, it just this thing is so real. You guys out there, when we run across you and the course and all the people that helped us get started in this and waking up to it.
And actually, we've been mentored by so many spiritual teachers, sages, gurus,
all kinds
through
of
the
people.
books and all of the things that we've exposed ourselves to for years. And it's so, to such a degree. I remember I said this to you yesterday. My mom, when she was alive, she was my brother was staying with her. She had Alzheimer's, of course, I told you. And one night we were out in the backyard, and he had a little seating area back there where we would sit. There was this big, beautiful moon that night. I mean, it was huge. And my brother wanted mom to experience it. And mom she didn't look up at it. So he was trying to show her, Mom, look at that pretty moon. Look. And what mom did was, instead of looking at the moon, she looked at his finger. And she never took her eyes off his finger. So what she did was look at the pointer instead of what was being pointed to. So this is where you and I have kind of come to a place where we realize there is no real reason to have one person that you look at to bring you spiritual truth. There is no reason to have one source for your spiritual truth, because then if you do that, you're looking at the pointer and not the one that's being pointed to.
You guys out there, be safe. After Christmas, there are some things that are going to take place amongst the brick and mortar people with this pandemic.
When you say brick and mortar, you're
people in church,
the church
who
people
will not practice
social distances. But it's going to also flow into all different areas
of our life.
This is the season for flus and viruses and all of that.
Yeah, and you guys catch on to this eternal self, because the earth and everything around us is being purged. We don't want to generate fear, but we want you guys to understand that we are in a turnaround. There's a change, a physical change that's taking place, and the activity of the spirit world and the activity of the middle path is increasing. There's a revival of near-death experiences. There's a revival of people waking up to their true identity more than anything that has ever taken place in the universe.
It's a revival of it.
It is.
Yes.
And it is absolutely amazing as to the people who are having experiences on the other side and seeing the truth of what the church has tried to close in and hold on to itself. God is appearing to people who had no idea, had nothing to do with church, had nothing to do with religion, and he's revealing himself.
Yeah, he's not appearing in a religious way.
Not in a religious way. Atheists are finding out what we're talking about, and it's a revival all over the country.
And God is really appearing to a lot of people as love itself. As love itself. Not as some image, not as some concept of this big sky man or old man or not that, but as love itself.
Christ is the eternal self in every being on the earth. It is the eternal self. The Christ, some people want Christ to be saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, but Christ is the eternal self. I told a lady, I said, I see Christ in your life. I didn't know her. Didn't make any difference whether she went to church or not. That struck her. That struck her. She turned and looked at me and said, thank you so much. She needed to hear that. I have people, I'm sitting at the store in my Jeep and people waving at me. And I said, what are they waving at me?
We had the best thing happen to us the other day. We were sitting here and I was in there on the sofa watching TV, eating something, and you were messing around in the kitchen or something. And somebody came to the doorbell. I mean, to the door and rang the doorbell.
They sure did.
And gave us a gift. They left a gift because you didn't see them, did you? I
saw them come across the yard, but I didn't. But then when they got back to the car, they waved at them and said, that's a gift.
Yeah, and we don't really know who it was because it was dark. But it was someone in the neighborhood who sent us a gift of cookies and milk.
Yeah, they did.
With a card that says, thank you for being such a positive influence in the neighborhood. I thought that was great. I thought it was just wonderful.
This is called seeing the mystical unveiling of Christ in everybody. Everybody's out on the street. Everybody running to the store. The stores don't have everything in it, but you got everything you need inside of you. I think that we ought to stop right here and say to every Christ being on our site, thank you for revealing yourself, the real us, to each other on this site. Thank you for being so real that we can talk to the Christ in each one of us. The Christ in me honors the Christ in all of you. And the Christ in me speaks to the Christ in you. And you are now speaking by vibrational frequencies through this site right now. And the love, unfathomable love of God and the energy of the presence of this Christ in everybody on the universe is now joining in with us. They may not be seen by sight, but they are felt by the presence of vibrational love through all of us. God bless every one of you. And thank you for the gifts and the anointings and the presence and the all. I don't think it's a day to go by. John, Linda, Vincent, all of you guys out there. I don't think it's a day to go by that we don't think about all of you guys out there. I know. We think about you from the time we leave to the time we come back the next session. We carry you. And look, I got people sending me cards. And you know what I do with every card? I got a place in my closet. I'll take all those cards and letters and I put them in there. And when I go in there in the morning between 3 and 4, I look at them. I look at them and I carry them in my heart. I was shown that everybody that I meet in this dimension, I met you before on the other side. And we agreed to talk. Everyone that got on this side, I agreed to talk to you on the other side when I got over here.
We collaborated.
We collaborated.
We all collaborated to be in this spiritual community.
Our true self, before birth, we agreed. All of our souls agreed to come here in our moment of awakening. That when we woke up, we would be right here on this side talking to you. We put this in action. Unveiling. I know I can tell without a doubt, the knowing without study, that you and I agreed to touch each other by voice. If I call it the damn panic, the pandemic or the damn panic hadn't happened, we wouldn't even be talking to each other like this. That's
right. That's exactly right.
And I bless you.
Yeah.
I command the blessings of God to come up into you, and everything you touch will be blessed. Everything you touch will be blessed and multiply millions of blessings. May the joy of the season not just come on Sunday and Friday and Saturday, but may just spread through the rest of the year. Yeah. And may you see everything that you go around just glow with the energy of your eternal self. Miss Judy, may every patient that you come around just see Christ bubbling up out of your innermost being. My God, touch you from the top of your head to the tip of your pantyhose, down to your toes. Joe Renee, may God give you insight on how to cook a new brew, cook a new cake, a new pie. May all of you begin to sing to your, I used to hear music inside. I used to hear music inside me just before in Milwaukee. He would be singing to me before I went to the.
He was setting you up.
Yeah, he was setting me up. He was singing a little school song to me. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. And when I got out there, I said, "Oh, here we go." Now, sin is looking at others like they're like when you look at other people and don't look past the false self to the real them.
Yeah.
You are deciding not to forgive them. And I'm finding out that true forgiveness is when you decide to look at the Christ that's standing in front of you instead of their false self.
Exactly.
Boy, that's something.
If you can look past the character that they play,
they'll make you mad. They'll make your monkey mad.
And that's another thing that the lady that you had me watch about the near-death experience. She said this. She said she knew that in the event that she had to reincarnate, she was okay with that because she realized she would have to come back to play a role for something, and that was the reason for the reincarnation to play a role.
When I walked out in the audience, I would see an angel standing over a certain person, and the angel would be pointing to me. This is the one. And I knew that was the one that I would the minister to and talk to. It's wonderful. What you have inside of you is waiting to be released through you.
It is.
Open up. Yes. Open up and let it be free.
Yes.
Let it express itself. Our recognition of truth
affects the whole mind of mankind.
Miss Linda, you're gonna tear something up in a minute.
Much the same way a fearful story can make others fearful who weren't even involved in the original story. Our thoughts affect all. Yep. Yes, ma'am. Yep. Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna give you preacher's license, Linda.
Yes.
Let you preach. We're gonna get you a pulpit, let you preach.
What's so great about this? You don't have to believe in anything to be eternal. You just live in this stuff. That stuff just bubbling out of you. We recognize the truth of God now. Now let's take a deep breath and relax, because you are now walking the pathless path.
It's true.
We are in the oneness without struggle. Don't have to work at now.
That's right.
We're there.
And we are all that unconditional love in the making.
I don't know why.
In the maturing, in the evolving.
I feel that, I don't know why I feel like we're coming to a early close tonight. I don't know why. I feel
that's okay.
I do.
It's okay.
This mystical self, I've been hearing a ringing in my ears. Maybe I'm getting a phone call from God.
Say hello.
Maybe I'm getting a phone call. You know what? My mom had been gone for a while, and I thought I could give her a call. I saw a number in one of my books. Yeah, and I'll call, and I said, well, maybe she'll answer. But anyway, I don't want to leave right now, but I feel the presence of shutdown. I don't know why early tonight.
It's okay.
We want you guys to just take time, sit still during the daytime, and thank your eternal self for making itself so real to your consciousness. Yeah. That's one of the things that I practiced for years. Is we call it in church, we call it give God space.
Yes.
And time in the church. We make room for it. We make room for the music. We make room for the announcements. Yes. We make room for all kinds of things. But now I've always made room for God to talk to me about people and bless them. So take time and sit down this holiday and give your eternal self a space to make itself consciously real in your home and in your house and around people. Forget all about the meanness that's going on out there and sit still and see the hand of God and the most gracious thing that he's done in your eternal self to express yourself. Now, we thank you for the gifts that you've given us, and the Cash App has been really flowing, and you have blessed us to be able to enjoy this Christmas here in our home, being able to go online and look up and see what you guys thinking about us and we're thinking about you. It's just it's been really great. But now we're gonna shut down early tonight.
Okay,
Yep.
that's
Oh
fine.
yeah.
It's not really that early because it's about 7 more minutes, and we've
7
been
more
here a
minutes.
whole
Oh,
hour.
seems like it's early.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
we are here, and you guys come back and be with us again Sunday. Oh, we'll be here Thursday, won't we?
We'll be here Thursday for impromptu at 12:30.
Yeah, 12:30.
Yeah, with Pastor Norman.
Yeah.
That's where we talk about all things that are related to us from our Christian background and how we come into this now. And Pastor Norman is coming into it as well.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
And he's he's really having a lot of adjusting
Yeah.
during this time. So
And Miss Deb, is she still on there?
I think so.
Yeah, Miss Deb, I'll probably see you Thursday. Is that okay with you? Okay, give me a call if you can. But we thank you guys, Miss Linda and Miss Judy and all you little Judys.
Pearl, thank you, darling.
Brother Kessler, we're thinking about you. And all you guys that are listed out there, and some of you guys are listening to us that are not on the site here, we love you with the love. I'm beginning to find out how to use God's forgiveness. When my mind don't want to forgive, I use my eternal forgiveness.
You let your heart do it.
I let my forgiveness heart do it. Don't care how monkey want to be a monkey. I'll let my heart forgive. Okay?
Thank you guys
love you so much
for sending us love. Thank you so much.
All
we
right.
love you guys.
Send us what you can to help us keep going, okay?
And we will see you on Thursday at 12:30. And
12:30.
We'll be back on Sunday.
Sunday at 10.
Yeah, right after Christmas.
Okay. We love you.
Love you guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.